Hi everyone, it's Lucky and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today is week 9, I believe. Honestly, I didn't know I was gonna do this so consistently, so yay me. Other than that, this week we're going to go back to anatomy, kind of. I want to focus in on different parts of anatomy, so for this week I'm going to focus on the hands and feet. Then maybe next week I'll focus in on the facial structure of a person. Then after that week I'm going to work on male and female bodies. Male bodies are going to be really difficult, I can already tell, since I've always had struggles with doing male faces and bodies, but hopefully I won't do too bad. I say with a skeptical, high-pitched voice. Other than that, let's get straight into it. So unlike my many other previous attempts to learn how to draw hands, I actually decided to start by breaking it down into the simple shapes of a hand. So for 2 days straight I practiced the different shapes that make up the human hand, and I was fully preparing myself for my attempts to be really trashy, since that's what happened previously when I tried to do this. But most, if not all, of my attempts to to separate the hand into different parts actually turned out pretty decently, in my opinion. But it was also really interesting to try out different methods that people use. Like, some people just break down the hand into just a large square for the palm, and then 5 large rectangles for the fingers, while others breaking down into even more shapes depending on what kind of hand position they were drawing or showing an example of drawing. On the second day, I really want to zero in on fingers because the palms are usually really simple for me to draw. It's when I try to attempt the fingers when everything goes wrong. So on the second day, I really want to focus in on drawing fingers and understand their shape and structure. So in the future, when I'm trying to draw a hand, it won't look like some very mutilated octopus creature. Just like on the first day, I really focused in on just using simple shapes and also representing the joint and the bone with just some circles and small rectangles. And because of how well it was going, I decided, hey, how about I try drawing a hand by following an example, and it actually turned out pretty decently. I was very surprised with myself with how it turned out, so I tried one more and it didn't turn out the best, so I just went back to just focusing on how the finger structure works. Of course, like I said in the start of the video, this isn't just about hands, it's also about feet, since while I've never tried drawing feet, I always assumed that feet were the hands of the legs, if you could say. I'm trademarking that right now so none of you can steal it later. Much like for the previous days, I decided that I'm going to break down the foot into its basic shapes, which from the examples I was seeing was a lot more than the hands, which was a little bit surprising to me. I guess when you're drawing feet, you have to take into consideration more the ankle than you would have to with the wrist, because while the wrist is important, it's not as essential than when you're drawing feet. And the more sketches I did, the more I realized that because of my inexperience with drawing feet, my sketches were looking worse and worse the more I was doing them. And that is entirely my fault. I really should have practiced more when I was younger, but I guess this is the whole point of relearning how to draw and then also learning new things on top of the other things I already knew. much like on the second day of this week when I mainly focused in on just drawing fingers, I really wanted to focus in on drawing toes, even though I have some kind of vendetta against them. I don't know, man, I just don't like looking at them. They creep me out. I don't know what it is, but I digress. So I decided to look up some examples of toes, at least like people drawings of toes, and surprisingly I couldn't find much. And I say surprisingly because I know it's some people's thing to be interested in toes, which is really weird in itself, but I'm not here to judge. It's neither here nor there. So yeah, I couldn't really find any good examples of it, so instead of subjecting myself to the torment of looking at actual people's toes, I decided to just practice on how the feet look from different perspectives. And I kind of wish I also did that for hands now that I'm looking at it, since I only just focused in on the fingers and the basic components that make up a hand. On the last day I just jumped straight into it, and I was really nervous as I was drawing my first foot because it kind of looked iffy, but as I went on it looked better and I was like, okay. Then I drew my other foot and I was like, okay, this is also really good. So I was like, how about I draw a hand, because maybe my hands didn't improve so much. And the first one was kind of looking a little bit rough, and I couldn't quite get the shape of the thumb right, and the fingers were bending in all sorts of weird ways, but I pushed through it and I trust the process, and it actually turned out being half decent. My second attempt was definitely better than my first attempt, but I have to say, going from mutilated octopus to semi-decent looking hands, I have to say this is quite the improvement, and I'm very happy with myself. And these are the final results. I have to say, I'm really surprised with how it went. I genuinely thought it would look awful, but like they actually look pretty decent. If what these are down here, I tried to make children hand and feet, and as you can see, other than this one and that one, the other ones are quite bad. But you know, it's the first time I tried it, so it's at least two of them turned out okay. As for the other days, I just continued practicing like the simple shapes for the hands and feet, just so I can get an idea of how they would function, I would say. And then we also have the day where I just practice fingers. I don't know why I could find examples of just the fingers, how they bend and move, but I couldn't find anything for toes. Maybe toes aren't as popular as fingers to practice, but otherwise everything else turned out great, so I'm really happy about that. And thank you all so much for watching, as always. Appreciate all the support you give me, and as always, lucky.